Today is the International Day of the Older Person. It's a day where we celebrate the wonderful older people in our lives, the wisdom that they've brought us, the care that they've given us, and the love that they've shared with us. These older Australians are people that are in our lives or possibly have been in our lives. They are people who have brought us wisdom, who've brought us joy. And earlier this week, I sat down with 3 older Australians from diverse backgrounds to hear about their lives and their wisdom for us going forward, particularly in a time of COVID-19 when we've all been particularly impacted by restriction and not being able to visit people. And on that basis, I now share their stories with you.
My name is Mick Adams and I'm 73 years of age. Grew up in Darwin but was born in Cairns, and my early childhood was spent up in the Torres Straits, Thursday Island, where my father comes from, and then moved to Darwin, closer to where my mother's country is.
You've got a doctor, Dr. Mick Adams, you're also referred to. Tell me about that.
I'm referred to Doctor or Uncle Mick. I think recognition of myself and my age. Like I said, I'm growing up in Darwin. I had no intention of going to school. I'd rather go out and work rather than go to school or spend more time hunting and fishing. But somehow I ended up with an opportunity to go and do a diploma of social work with a thing called the Aboriginal Task Force. Was part of the South Australia Institute of Technology. And from there, later on in life, I went and about 15 years after that, I went and actually did a degree and then I went on and study, became more involved in study, but more so research, and opportunity came up to do a PhD, so I took that, and it worked with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander males on sexual reproductive health. People said to me that no one will talk to you, particularly about erectile dysfunction. They said white fellas don't even talk about it. So I said, well, I'll go out and have a go. And I ended up interviewing 301 persons. And they did a 30-page questionnaire. So I think that was a good achievement for myself and for the people who had the confidence in me to go into the PhD.
So, Uncle Mick, what do you think what would you say is your biggest achievement in life?
My biggest achievement in life is becoming a dad. When you're growing up, you're wild and woolly, and then all of a sudden your wife gets pregnant and then you've got a child. And I think that's, for a lot of men, that's the best, for me anyway, that's the best achievement. Being a father, you couldn't beat it. Growing up and bringing my child up, or my children, bringing them up and watch them grow. And that's where we continue on to other kids, like we claim grandkids and nieces and nephews and sons and daughters, so we grab them and bring them up as well.
That's a really good segue into my next question, which is really about what advice would you give for younger people these days? We know that the intergenerational stuff's really important. What would your advice be?
Well, other than listen to your mother and father, when I talk to young people, I talk to them about the importance of self. They're important. They're the ones. No one else is going to sort of or can make you do anything or change your life. It's up to you to do it. And we have a lot of young people fall out of universities and that for thing and never go back. And I always say that if you want to go and study, you study what you want to study. You don't study something because it's there. If you do what you want to do, and you'll enjoy it.
Uncle Mick, what would you like to see different in this world?
Well, people talk about equality and equity. It's really, and racism. I think those type of things really need to be defined. I think racism is one of the ugliest things out. I mean, it doesn't matter what your skin colour is. We're all human beings. So white people aren't the only one racist. We, as Aboriginal people, are racist as well. So we're even racist against each other. So because you know yourself that Aboriginal people come from many backgrounds, but they're also different shades of grey, so to speak, or shades of black. So we accept that, but sometimes when people don't know you really well, they there's a racist torment against that until they really know your family, because nowadays a lot of people say who they are, where they're from.
This Thursday is International Day of the Older Person. What do you think the importance of that is, and what does that mean to you?
I think it's really good. Older people seem to be left out. A lot of people look at older people as the last leg, so to speak. A lot of us older people have got more energy than a lot of the young people, and because of our age, people think, well, they're old, they can't do it. So, take for instance, America or Australia, the president or prime minister, they don't get into those jobs till they're over 80. Have a look at all the leaders. A lot of people in education, universities, where a lot of us are old people in there. When I was growing up, I thought, gee, someone's 40, they're over the hill. Now I've passed that, and I'm lucky. I'm supposed to be where I am. The life I led is very rough and antisocial, and getting introduced to alcohol wasn't good for me. So I threw that away and then look after myself. But I think older people needs to be, how would you say it, congratulated on the life, what they've done to bring people into this life, and how they mentored both knowingly or unknowingly, because people would look up to, say, myself or my uncle, because I look up to my fathers and my uncles and say, well, I want to follow that way because they taught me this, or they can teach me, and that was the way. And I'm hoping that other young people are looking at me and say, well, I want to be like that. I want to achieve what he achieved as well.
Well, on that, there's been a big life of achievements, Uncle, and I just wanted to say, I suppose on this International Day of Older People, to say thank you for everything you've done to contribute to the community, to Aboriginal young men, and to me as a man myself, and the wisdom that you've imparted.
It's good because a lot of times we don't know that people are watching us as well as we do watching young kids, and we just go along our business and teaching as we go along, but not knowing that we got followers from afar that are watching us as well. And that's not only for Aboriginal people, it's for people themselves.
Absolutely. Thanks for your time today, Mick.
Well, thank you for the interview.